Hello everyone, welcome you all in the Geotech family. Today we are going to celebrate a GIS week. So today is our first lecture. In this lecture we'll learn how to georeference and projection, and before georeference and projection in ArcGIS we'll learn about the basic introduction of GIS. So what is GIS, that we'll see, and we'll see its application of GIS. So after seeing application you'll get some information and which map we are going to prepare in further lecture that we are going to learn. So first we'll see about the definition. So what is GIS, that we'll see. So GIS stands for Geographical Information System. So geographical or geospatial information. So information about the places on the earth's surface. So whatever the information we are getting about the earth's surface or the places about the earth's surface, that we called as a mostly geographical or geographical or geospatial is a synonymous term. Then S stand for mostly in GIS, S stand for system. System means the technology, science, the concepts and the theory. Then studies the societal context. So GIS help in distance support system involving the integration of spatial reference data in a problem solving in a different fields. So before that we need to understand what is the things we have needed in the GIS. So first we need a hardware. Hardware means we need a computer, we need a networks, we need a printer, plotter and digitizers. So these things first we need. First we need an hardware. First we need an computer. After having computer we need a software. So GIS software we need. So GIS software, database software, then OS software, then network software we need. After having hardware we need software in it. After having software we need data. So we need a vector data, we need a raster data. What is vector data, what is raster data, that we'll see. Then image data and attribute data also we'll see. So now we have hardware, we have software and we have data in it. Now we need some procedure, we need a method. So what method we need? We need to know how, if we have a data. So after that we need to some process to follow. So what process we need to follow? We need some guidelines. Suppose we want to prepare watershed map or slope map or contour map. For that there is some process. So that methods we have to follow. So after having a process we need a people. We need an administrator, we need a manager, we need a GIS technician. People like us need to prepare a map. So for that all these 5 components are needed, like hardware, software, data, methods and people. After all having these things, we can go for the preparation of all the maps. So first, how the process takes place, that we'll see. So how the remote sensing process takes place, that we'll see first. So we know that the ultimate source of energy is sun. We are getting energy from the sun, then it is coming from the atmosphere and reaching to the surface. So now you can able to see A here is an energy source, then B is a radiation and the atmosphere B. Then C is an interaction with the target. So now you can able to see interaction with the target means our surface, whatever we are interested in. So suppose we are interested in the study part of our land, then we can study about the land. If we are interested in water, so that is our target. So what is our target? That is important. Then again it will reach to the D, that is our recording station, recording of energy by the sensors in D. After reaching it, it will reach to the transmission, receiver and processing station. And F, we know that the interpretation and analysis, and G is the application. So all this process mostly takes place by the remote sensing process. Now we'll see what is the benefit of GIS, that we'll see first. So GIS benefits organizations of all size and in almost every industries mostly. There is a growing awareness of the economic and strategic values of GIS. The benefit of GIS generally falls into 5 categories. So first is a cost saving and increasing efficiency. So we can save the cost. Before going to field, we have some pre-field survey. So by pre-field survey, we can save some cost. By going to field, there will be lots of cost we have to pay. But before going to field, we can generate a lots of knowledge before going to field. So this is a cost saving and increasing efficiency. Then better record, better decision making we can do. Then improve communication. Then better record keeping. First we are all keeping in a hard copy format. Now we are keeping soft copy format. Then managing geographically, all these benefits. Then application of GIS. So transportation, then watershed analysis, then urban development, landfill site selection, pollution monitoring, remote sensing, and target site selection. These are the applications of GIS. We'll see one by one these applications. So before that, we'll see uses of remote sensing in GIS and disaster management. So first, we know that there is earthquake. Most of the earthquake happen in a Japan area. We know that there are numerous earthquake happen in Japan or Chile Peru Trench. When one plate is subducting into another plate, that time mostly earthquake takes place. So nobody can stop the earthquake, but we can take some precautions. So they are using DGPS, that is differential global position system. Using this DGPS survey, we can predict that when the plate will release its stress. So we can get some idea about when the plate will release the stress. So nobody can stop that earthquake, but we can construct a building like that. Even 8 magnitude, 9 magnitude earthquake will happen, it will not affect to us too much. So then tsunami also, there is tsunami monitoring system. So in tsunami monitoring system, they get the information before hitting tsunami to the coast. So we get the information about half hour, 1 hour or 2 hour before that tsunami is reaching to the coast, and we can move a people which is staying near about the coastal area. Then forest fire, then drought, volcano. So man-made disasters also there. So these are the disaster management we can do by using remote sensing and GIS. After having a disaster management, I told you the transportation, to find out the shortest route. We can find out the shortest route to create a networking using existing GIS data. Now by using transportation facility to find the most efficient and fastest route. So if I want to go from the Pune to Mumbai, so I will see which is the fastest route and which is the shortest route I can find out. Then also to locate the closest service facility, we can choose a locust, what is the nearest facility that we have available. Like suppose someone met an accident, then he will search which is a near hospital from me, or also he can, if we want some petrol pump, we can search where is the nearest petrol pump from us. So this is the to locate closest service facility from us. Then GPS. GPS also useful for the location, that is determining a position. We can find out our position by using this GPS. Then navigation, getting from one place to another place, like a ship and aircraft that we are using. Then tracking, monitoring objects or personal movements. In previously we have seen in many movies that we are using tracking system. If we are connecting some chip to vehicle and vehicle movies, and then we know where vehicle is moving, so that we can track a vehicle. Then mapping, then creating a map of the world. Then timing, bringing precise timing to the world. So these are uses of GPS mostly. So what we are going to learn? We are going to learn to prepare some maps. So what kind of map we are going to prepare? So this is a geomorphological map. Geomorphological map means you will see here, first one is structural ridges, then second one is a pediment zone, and third one is a river valley. So we can prepare geomorphological map. So this kind of map we can prepare. This is also geomorphological map. Then digital elevation model map. So what is digital elevation model? So digital elevation model gives information about the elevation of the area. Now you can able to see here. So this color indicating here some values. So this is indicating that this blue color, it's indicating that this light blue color indicating that mostly it is having a very less elevation. So and this red color and reddish and all this color you can able to see here, that indicating a highest elevation of the area. So this is a Maharashtra map. Now you can able to see this is green color shows a middle elevation, and this color shows the highest elevation. So we can predict a digital elevation of the area mostly. Then we can prepare a contour map. So contour gives an equal heights of elevation mostly. Then stream order map we are going to learn. We are going to prepare how to prepare a watershed map, how to prepare a stream order map, that we'll learn. Then also we'll prepare a watershed map, how to prepare watershed in ArcGIS, that we'll learn. So this is Dudna river watershed map. So catchment area of a river and stream we can able to see here. Then this is a slope map. So now you can able to see slope map here. So this green portion shows a 0 to 5 degree slope, but this reddish area shows very high elevation of slope. So we can prepare a slope map also using this. Then this is also a drainage map. So we will learn how to prepare a drainage map also. Then this is a flood due to a cyclone. Now you can able to see this is a previous image of cyclone and after this cyclone. So the 29 October 1919 image you can able to see of the Orissa coast. So list 3 data they are using mostly. So before pre-cyclone and after cyclone, how much devastation it takes place, we can predict by using the satellite imagery. After that, we can also prepare a land use land cover map. So what is land use land cover map? Mostly it gives information. We can track the here our mostly you can able to see here is a built up area. Red color shows a built up area, then green color shows a vegetation, and this color shows a barren land. So this is a 2001 image, and what happened in 2020 means within a 20-year span what changes it takes place. So in 2001 there was very less amount of residential area was there, so built up area is there. In 2020 too much increase in the residential area, then barren land decreases, then vegetation also decreases. So this prediction we can do by using this land use land cover mapping. So most important concept is a raster and vector that we are going to learn today. So first important, raster and vector. So what is raster and what is vector, that I will show you by practical also. So first I would like to explain you in the diagram here. Now you can able to represent here. So this is a real world data. Okay, this is a river is flowing. Now this is a tree here and this is home here. So suppose we want to represent a real world data into raster and vector format. So raster gives information about the pixels. So you can able to see here data representing in a pixel format, and here data representing in a vector format, data representing by point, line and polygon. So here is a point, here is a line, and here is a polygon. So this data representing by a point, line and polygon feature, because in raster we have shown it by pixel. Okay, number of cells, rows and columns is there. So in rows and columns we have seen this data in a raster format. Suppose this river we want to show by a vector feature. So this river we have shown by the line feature. Then this real world object, this is our tree. Tree is shown by polygon feature, and this home is shown by point feature. So like this we can represent in a vector data. Vector data represent discrete feature like point, line and polygon. Then this raster represent a continuous data mostly. So now you can able to see here this raster data, RR indicating mostly here river, and this TT indicating trees, and HH indicating our homes. So like this, now you will better understand when I will show you practical. So vector data, you remember that vector data means point, line and polygon is a vector data. A fundamental concept of vector GIS is that all geographic feature in the real work can be represented either as a point or dots. So point means trees, poles, fire plunks, airports and cities. This is our point feature. Then line feature is a stream, streets and spheres. And areas, if you will see the land parcels, cities, countries, forest and rock type is our area. Then after having this, we have this is our vector data, and raster data I told you continuous and discrete pixels and cells. So area is covered by grids with equal size and square cells. So this pixel now you can able to see, it's indicating that it is having a raster data. So I have shown here raster and vector difference. So raster data are described by a cell grid, one value per cell. So now we can able to see a point vector. This is vector data and this one is raster data. So point shown by point, but it is shown by pixel. Then line, now you can able to see line is representing here, and here is a zone of cells. Then polygon, here shown by single polygon, and here shown by multiple pixels, here shown by polygon. So like this, if I will show you the practical, then you can able to understand better. So if I will zoom here, now you can able to see, first I will show you the raster data. So raster data I told you it is in pixel format. If I will zoom here, so now you can able to see this pixel. So this pixel represent that this is an raster image. If you will zoom anywhere, you will see only pixels. So this pixels representing an raster data. Another image if I will show you, so this one is image, right click and zoom to layer. So this image also you can able to see. If I'll zoom it, you can able to see some pixel. If it's not able to seen, I will color this. If it is also not seen, then so now you can able to see. So this image is also having some pixel format. So this image is also indicate that this is a raster image. So every scan image is a raster image. So whenever you have seen this pixel type feature, so wherever you will see this pixel, so this pixel indicating that this is an raster image. If I will change the more color, then it might be clear to you. So now you can able to see this pixel, this yellow pixels, this green pixels. So this is indicating that it is having some cells. So this is rows and columns. So this indicating that it is in raster data. So what is vector data? Vector is in point, line and polygon feature. As I have told you before, vector is in a point, line and polygon data. So this image is a raster below that, and this one is a vector data. Vector, it is indicating this point, line and polygon feature. So by point we can show by village name also, or borewell we can show. Then polygon we can show some forest area or water body. In line we can show by roads, railway lines we can show. So this is a vector data. So this is basic difference between raster and vector. So raster is in pixel format and vector is in point, line and polygon format. So this is a basic difference between raster and vector. So now before going to georeferencing, we'll learn to download topo sheet before. So how we can download topo sheet, that we'll see. Then we'll go for the georeferencing and projection. To download topo sheet, what we'll do, I will open Google, okay, and I will download here Google Earth Pro first. So how to download topo sheet from the Google Earth Pro, that we'll see first. To download Google Earth Pro, I will type Google Earth Pro in Google Chrome. After typing Google Earth Pro, here is the Earth version, Google Earth is there. I will click here, and after that there is an option Google Earth Pro on desktop. So I will go below, and here is a download Earth Pro on desktop option is there. I will click here, and here we need to accept terms and condition. So accept and download I will click. After click on accept and download, it will start downloading below. So I have already downloaded this Google Earth Pro. So that I will show you. So if I will show you, so this is our Google Earth. Now you can able to see. After downloading this Google Earth, we will download a topo sheet from the Google Earth. How we can download? For that, I will go to Google, and here I will type in Google Chrome, that is a US Army Maps. After typing US Army Maps, it will download in KML format, and KML format we can directly open in Google Earth Pro. So for downloading this, we need to type US Army Map in Google Chrome. After typing US Army Map, so now US Army Map page will open. So I will click here to download this. So when I will click here, it will start download US Army Maps. So after downloading, I will click here and click on open. After click on open, if you already download Google Earth Pro, then it will open in Google Earth Pro. So now you can able to see this in green color. I will press R and my mouse to move a map. Now you can able to see this green color showing US Army Maps. So for that, what we need to do, we need to select our area. Suppose I want to download it for the Pune area. Okay, so here search option is there. In search option, I will type Pune and I will click on search. So after typing Pune, we will reach to the location of Pune, and now here is the topo sheet that we need to download. To download this topo sheet, now you can able to see in a small dot here. So we need to select here, we need to click here. So after left click, there is an option map. I will click on map. After clicking on map, it will take little bit time and a map of topographical map will open here. So after clicking on that blue icon, this kind of topo sheet will open here. To download this topo sheet, I will right click and open image I will click. After clicking on open image, so after click open, it will open into the new browser and I will right click and save image option is there. When I will click on save image, we can save it in your folder. Suppose I want to save it on a desktop, so I will select a folder of a desktop. I will save here by default name and I will click on save. After click on save, this image will save. Like this we can download topo sheet from Google Earth. Now you can able to see this is topo sheet 1:2 2,50,000 scale is there. So here showing north is 43/6 any then series. Now all the information is given here. So like this we can download a topo sheet from Google Earth Pro also. So there is another way you can download from topo sheet, that is our Survey of India website. So I will type here as a Survey of India. After typing Survey of India topo sheet, here is the option Survey of India. I will click on Survey of India. After clicking on Survey of India, the home page of Survey of India will show here. After that, we'll go below and there are two options, that is a new user and login. So if you didn't create your account, you click on new user option and create your account. If you have Indian number, then you can add your mobile number, you will get OTP, and after entering OTP they will ask you for the email address. When you will give email address, then your registration ID will create. After that you need to click on login and here we need to add your mobile number, that is your register mobile number. So after entering register mobile number, we need to type here our password. So what is our password that we have given at the time of registration, that we need to type. After typing this, we need to add a captcha here. After typing captcha, click on the login option. When we'll click on the login option, then this page will open. After this page, there is option download maps. So I will click on the download maps and there is option geographical search and by sheet number. If you know the sheet number, then you can go for it. If you don't know, then click on the geographical search. After clicking on the geographical search, we need to select a state. For which state we need to download. Suppose I want to download for the Maharashtra, so I will search Maharashtra here. And a district. Suppose you want to download for the any particular district. You want to download it for the Pune or any other place. Then you can select a district here. And locality, if you know a particular locality of that area, you can enter here locality. After typing this, click on the search option. When we'll click on the search option, then it will gives a topo sheet number and all the detail about the topo sheet. So now this is a OpenStreetMap number. This is our sheet number, old sheet number, and now here is a publish date. Now here you can able to see a metadata. Metadata means data of data, we call it as a metadata. So all the information is given here. So this is a Pune and Satara district, and Tehsil you can able to see here. All the information is here. Latitude, longitude of the area is given. I'll click on close. To download this, there is a option, download option is there. So I will close this. Now here is a download option is there. I will click on the download. After click download, you can able to read here that downloaded PDF maps are password protected and the password is your registered mobile number. So I have read and agree with the privacy. So what is your registered mobile number, that you should know, and after that click on OK and it will start download within a second. So after downloading, we need to add, to open this PDF file, we need our registered mobile number. So after typing our registered mobile number, our topo sheet will be start. So after downloading this from the Survey of India website, we can convert this PDF into JPG format by using online PDF converter. So you can use online PDF converter to convert this PDF file, that is a password protected, and password is your registered mobile number, and after converting online we can open it into our ArcGIS. So to open this, now we can open this into ArcGIS. So we'll see how to open all these things. So before that we'll see some interface about the ArcGIS. So this is our ArcGIS, this is our 10.8 version. So if you this is not a freeware software, it's a paid software. So here is a interface that I will show you how we can how we can work on it. So this is ArcGIS 10.8. we need to double click here as ArcMap 10.8. when you will double click here, this kind of interface will open here. After the interface, here is a table of content option is there, then here is a catalog. In the catalog all our data is saved here. Now you can able to see all our data which is in our computer that we have already stored, that will be displayed here. So here is the one option, that is connect to folder option is there. So when we will click on the connect to folder option, then we can connect our folder where our data is saved, like this in this PC. If you have saved your data on desktop, you can select a desktop, or else if you have saved your data in D drive, select D drive, click on OK, then D drive will add here. If you have connect a new pen drive and that you want to add here, then you need to go to here, that is a connect to folder, and after that select the folder, that folder, and click on OK. After clicking on OK, it will display here. So after that to add information, add data to here to map view, what we'll able to do, we'll select a data where we have saved our folder. So here in topo sheet, this is my data, I will select it and I will drag here. So after dragging this, it shows me unknown spatial reference. Unknown spatial reference means this image is not a georeference. So this is just downloaded from the Survey of India website, and we have online converted using PDF converter, and now it shows unknown spatial reference, means this is not a georeference image. How we can identify this is not georeference image? If I will keep my arrow here, here below showing me unknown unit. Okay, so if you'll see below, it is showing me unknown unit. It should not show me unknown unit here, because if it's showing me unknown unit means this image is not a georeference. If I'll keep my pan here, this hand, if I'll keep here, it should show me 74 degree 15 minutes or 18 degree 25 minutes here, but it's not showing me. It's showing me unknown unit because this is only a scan image. This is not a georeference image. When we will georeference this image, after georeferencing this image, it will show us 74 degree 15 minutes and 18 degree 15 minutes. So this is our longitude and this is our latitude. It should show below, but it's not showing because of this image is just scan image. It's not a georeference. So here is the some tool you can able to see. Here is a file. We'll see all these information here, file, and if we don't want this, then we can take new from here. Select this blank map and say no. Then the blank map will be open here. So suppose this table of this catalog will remove from here, and you want to add it. Again, you can click on a catalog here. It will display, or else you can click on a Windows and click on catalog. Suppose this table of content is removed from here and you want to add here. Here is the option table of content, or else you can click on Windows and you can add from here. So if I will drag image from here, this will show in table of content. Okay, it will show me in a table of content. So suppose this is a temporary layer here mostly. If I'll remove from here, this will be removed. But if I'll delete from here, this will remove permanently. This will delete permanently if we'll delete from the catalog. So here is a temporary. If we can add a data and we can temporarily keep here and we can remove from here. So this is permanent data store here. So now we want to georeference image. Before that, we will see some tools. So here is a zoom in option is there. If you want to zoom, we can use this for the zoom. As I have told you, this is a raster image. Okay, then now this is zoom in. If you want to zoom in, we can click here, or this is pan. if we want to move a map, we can move a map. So like this, there is a scrolling in, scrolling down option is also there. We can use scroll of mouse to scroll in and scroll down. And here is a full extent option is there. If we have zoom a lot and we want to come back to our original position, then I will click on full extent, it will reach to its original position. Again, if I will zoom, again I will click here full extent, it will reach to its original position. From here also we can select and we can add our data like this, select and drag, or else we can add data from here. Here is the option, add data option is there. I will click on add data, and suppose you select a folder from here like a E drive, D drive or C drive where our data is kept, and my data is stored here. I will select this, and suppose this image I want to add, I will select and add option is there. So right click and I will click zoom tool here. So now we can able to see we have zoom here. So like this we can add a data here. So now we learn how we can add data in ArcGIS environment. So after that we need to georeference image. So to georeference this, what we need, that let me tell you the difference between georeference and ungeoreference image first. So when I drag this topo sheet which we have downloaded from the Survey of India website, and after dragging this, what it shows me, unknown special reference, means this image is not a georeference, that I told you before. And now we are going to georeference it. After georeferencing, what will happen, this 74 degree 15 minutes will show here as a, where unknown unit is showing, there will show some unit here. Okay, to georeference this, what we'll do, I will right click here above, here is a blank space is there, below, and there I will right click, and after right click, georeferencing tool I will select here. So here is the georeferencing tool is there. So this tool is below, that is a standard and tools, these tools are there, and now we want georeference tool. So here is a georeferencing tool, you can able to see georeferencing. So when I will select, it will add here georeferencing tool. So I will move from here, and now this topo sheet you can able to see is showing me here, and this is the tool for add control points. Okay, add control points tool is there. I will select and add control point. After selecting an add control point, we need to give latitude and longitude here. So these 4 corners are there and 4 latitude longitude are there. You can able to see this is first. Here is one corner. Here is another latitude and longitude. But this is in degree minute format. But we want it in a degree decimal. So how we can convert this? That we are going to learn. How we can convert degree minute second into degree decimal. So that we are going to learn first. So to convert this, we have formula, that is 74 degree 30 minute is there. So degree will keep as it is, minute will divide by 60 and second will divide by 3600. So second is not available here. We'll divide only for minute, and second will keep 00 and will divide by 3600. So for that we can use Excel sheet also, and we can use calculator also. If I'll type calculator in our Google, after typing calculator, now you can able to see here is 74 degree 30 minute is there. So what we'll do, 74 degree will keep as it is, then plus 74 degree, then here I told you there is a 30 minute, so minute we are dividing by 60, so 30 divided by 60. Okay, again plus this second is not there, so second will take 0 and divided by 3600 and click on OK. So 74 degree 50 minute it will show. So this 18 degree 15 minute will see. So 18 plus, then this 15 minute 15 divided by 60. Okay, then again plus, second is not there, so second will keep 00 and divided by 3600, so it will come 18.25. so this coordinate we need to use here. So like this, there is a 4 corner, you can convert. Degree will keep as it is, degree plus minute divided by 60 plus second divided by 3600. So for that, here I will type, here is an option, that is a add control points. So in georeferencing tool, there is a add control points option is there. I will click on add control points, then I will left click here, and then I will right click, and input XY option is there. I will select input XY. In X we are taking our longitude, okay, longitude we are taking, and in Y we are taking our latitude. So longitude is our 74.15 is there. When you will divide this by 60, it will be 25, and 18.15 is there, so 15 is 25. So after dividing this degree minute second into decimal degree, you will get this value. Click on OK. Again you need to come for the original extent, we can click on full extent option. Again I will take zoom. This add control point, I will zoom option is there, I will take zoom, and here is option add control point. Then first left click, then right click, input XY value. In X I will add my longitude, that is a 1374 degree, and 30 minutes means 50, and here is our 18.15 means 25. So again I will click OK, and here is the option, again zoom to full extent. Suppose by mistakenly if you have given a wrong coordinate, okay, what will happen if I will give wrong coordinate? I will give wrong coordinate here once. I will right click and XY. Suppose 74 degree 50 is there, and I will give 74 degree 90, okay, and 18.00, and I will click on OK. So the map will tilt. Now you can able to see, because of the given wrong coordinate, this map will tilt, and now we want to delete this point. So in the georeferencing tool, last option is there, view link table. I will click on view link table, and view link table, here is the option. If I will enlarge this third option, third point we have given, that is a wrong, so that I want to delete. I will select this and delete option is there, click, I will click on delete, so this will again come to its original position. So again I will take this zoom, I will zoom here. After zooming this, I will take this add control point, first right click, then left click, and then I will add here as a 74.50 and 18.00. 18.00. Now you can able to see 0 is here. So 18, if you divide it 0 by 60, it will come 00. So click on OK. Now we have given correct coordinate. Again I will zoom here. This add control point option is there. First left click, then right click, input XY option is there. So 74 degree is our longitude, 15 minutes means 25, then 18.00, 18.00, and I will click on OK. So we have given a 4 corners here, 4 coordinates we have given. After given these 4 coordinates, I will click on this georeferencing option is there. When I will click on georeferencing, rectify tool is there. I will click on the rectify. After clicking on the rectify, here is output location option is there. So we need to save our data. So where we'll save, we have created our folder on the desktop by the name of TopoSheet SOI. I will add here this folder, and the name of the file we need to give here. So name of the file I will give rectify, and 47J/8 I will give here. Whatever name you want to give, you can give, no problem here. And format I will keep as a TIFF, and I will click on save. After clicking on save, now you can able to see it's saving below. It will take little bit time and it will save. After save this, it will save on the folder where we have stored this data. So this data we have stored in a desktop by the name of TopoSheet. I will refresh here. Now you can able to see RECT 47J/8 file is added here. After refreshing this, This file you can able to add. I will right click and property option is there. Okay, first I will select this by left click and then right click property. In properties there is a one option that is a special reference. So this special reference is undefined. So this special reference we need to define. I will click on the edit option. After clicking on the edit option, there is a geographical information system option is there, GCS. So we need to add GCS here. After selecting this GCS, world option is there. I will click on world, and after world there is a WGS 1984 option is there. So why this we need to give? WGS is stand for World Geodetic System, that is a 1984. So suppose we want to measure something, we want to see, we need some baseline. Suppose I told you to measure some height of the building. So if I tell 4 or 5 people to go and measure the height of the building, some will take height from the stairs, and some will take from the first floor, some will take from some other locations. So all height will be different. So what we need we need some baseline from where everyone will take height, and then accuracy will be accurate for everyone. If we take some height from the baseline, if we decided that we have to measure height from this place, then everyone will measure and their height will be same for everyone. So for that we need some baseline, we need some reference line that we called as a datum. So we need to select this datum. So this is WGS 1984 datum we need to select here. So this WGS 1984 will select. I will click on apply and I will click on OK. After given this WGS 1984, we need to take new page here. I will click on new, blank page I will take, and I will click on save, change to untitled. I will click on no. And here we have just rectify this image that I will drag, and now you can able to see the difference between ungeoreference and georeference image. After click on rectify, the image will be georeference. So you can able to see if I'll zoom here. So if I'll keep my arrow here, it shows me latitude below. You can able to see here degree decimal is showing here. So if I'll keep my arrow here, that is 74 degree 15 minutes is showing me in 25, and 18 degree 15 minutes. So our image is now georeference. So if I'll keep my arrow anywhere in between, it will show me accurate latitude and longitude of that place mostly. So suppose if I'll keep my cursor here, now you can able to see 74 degree 50 minutes and 18 degree 25 minutes. So now our image is georeference. So this is the basic difference between georeference and ungeoreference image. Previously I have shown you ungeoreference image, and this is same image we have now georeference. If I'll drag this ungeoreference image, what it shows that it shows me unknown spatial reference. Unknown spatial reference means this image is not georeference. If I'll zoom here, so it's not showing me below, it shows me unknown unit. It's not showing me 74 degree 15 minutes or any latitude longitude, it's not showing me. If anywhere I will keep the cursor, it shows me unknown unit. So means this image is not a georeference. We have just georeference image, and it shows us and it gives us an accurate coordinate. If I drag here and if I'll keep my cursor anywhere in between, so you can able to see exactly latitude and longitude is showing here. Means our image is now georeference. So this is the basic difference between ungeoreference and georeference image. Now what we'll do, we'll see the difference. Now we are going to learn about the projection. So what is the projection that we'll see? Before going to see projection, we need to understand difference between GCS and PCS. So GCS we just have seen, that is a geographical coordinate system, that is a GCS. Use a 3-dimensional sphere surface to define a location on the earth. A GCS include an angular unit of measurement, a prime meridian, and a datum that is based on spheroid. So as we have seen, we have converted degree minute second into degree decimal. So degree decimal is not a measurable unit. It is not a measurable unit. So we need to convert it into measurable unit. So for that we need to project. So this is geographical coordinate system, that is a latitude, longitude, located exact position on the earth, but they are not the uniform unit of measurements. Suppose that 1 degree of longitude at equator, that is a 111.321 kilometer. The same 1 degree of longitude at 60 degree north latitude, it will be 55.802 kilometer. Means the degree of latitude changes, means 1 degree at equator, it will be not same 1 degree at pole, because we know that earth is a flat. At equator 1 degree will be more, but at pole that 1 degree will be less. So hence lat and long cannot be used to measure a distance, area or flat map. So to measure distance or area, we need to convert this 3-dimensional image into 2-dimensional image. For that we need a projection. Projection means what? Converting 3D into 2D we known as a projection mostly. So we need a projection to calculate area, because if we have seen that 74 degree 15 minutes. If I told you take a 1 degree land, so if I tell you to take 1 degree land, how much land it will take? It is not exactly we can able to calculate. But if I tell you take this much area, then you can able to get the information. Means if I told you take this much meter of area, take this much kilometer of area, then you can able to take. For that, for the measurable unit, we need to convert this GCS into PCS. So that is a projected coordinate system. So PCS is defined on a flat 2-dimensional surface. It has a constant length, angle and area across the 2 directions. A PCS is always based on a GCS, which is based on spheroid. So what is a projection? Map projection refer to the mathematical procedure by which all or a part of a 3-dimensional, that is a roughly spherical surface, is translated on a 2-dimensional, that is a flat surface with minimal distortion. Now you can able to see this image. Here is a 3-dimensional surface. We have converted into 2-dimensional. So this 3-dimensional earth we want to represent into 2-dimensional. In 3-dimensional, to calculating area or anything else very difficult. So that's why we're converting into 2-dimensional. Then we can calculate area on a flat surface. So every map user and maker should have a basic understanding of projection, on no matter how much computer seems to have automated the process. So there are 3 different kinds of projection. One is a cylindrical, conical and planar projection. That is a azimuth projection. So cylindrical projection means, suppose that we have taken earth and we have kept into cylindrical format and we want to open that. So now you can able to see here, suppose we keep earth in a cylindrical format and that we are opening into flat surface, then you can able to see in between, as we are moving away from the equator, the distortion is increases. If you'll see here, there is a very less distortion, but if you'll move further, the distortion will increase. In conical also you can able to see perspective conic, you can able to see here. This is the this projection depend on your country, at what latitude, longitude your country is situated. On the basis of that you can give projection. Suppose if your country is situated on the Arctic or Antarctica, then you need to give planar projection. Suppose your country is situated near the equator, then you can give cylindrical projection. Like this, there are numerous projection is there. So one is important, that is a universal transverse marketer, that is a UTM zone. So UTM zone we will learn first. What is UTM? UTM system is not a single map projection. A system instead divides the earth into 60 zones, each a 6-degree band of longitude, and uses a transverse Mercator projection in each zone. So if you'll see here, 60 zone, each zone is a 6 degree wide. If this is an UTM zone number, you can able to see. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and it's end at 60. So first UTM zone is a 6 degree longitude. Then second UTM zone 6 to 12, that is a 2. Then third UTM zone from 12 to 18. So like this, every 6 longitude has a 1 UTM zone. Now you can able to see here 6 degree bands of longitude and uses a transverse Mercator position in each zone. So each UTM zone has a 6 degree band of longitude. Then 60 degree, each 6 degree wide. Then each zone has a central meridian, that is a longitude of origin. Reference latitude is the equator, or a unit is measure. Its unit is meter mostly. So That's why we are converting that degree decimal into meter format. Then zone 1 cover longitude 180 degree to 175 degree wide. So zone 1, now you can able to see this zone 1, you can able to see this zone 1 cover 180 degree to 174 degree west zone, numbering increasing eastward to zone 60. So latitude limits 84 degree north and 80 degree south. A scale factor at a central meridian is a 0.9996. So this is all about the UTM zone. So how this UTM zone works, that we'll see. We'll download a UTM zone and then you will clear this, how it works mostly. So suppose I will open ArcGIS and now we want to project this image. Before going to project, we should know at what projection we are going to use here. To know that, what we'll do, I will click here on Google and I will type here in Google as a UTM zone. After typing UTM zone, we want to download this UTM zone KML file. So I will type here as a UTM zone KML. After typing in Google UTM zone KML, I will click on UTM zone. After clicking on UTM zone, it will start download below. So now it start downloading and we'll see UTM zone for our Indian context. So I will open this. After opening this, it will take little bit time and it will open in our Google Earth Pro. So this US Army I will close for the minute and now I will press R. So now you can able to see this is our UTM zone diagram. So suppose India, if I'll open, now if I'll zoom, so here you can able to see 43, 44, so 45, so this is UTM zone, 41, 40, so this is UTM zone as we have discussed. So if you'll see this, now what we need to do, we want to see our this topo sheet falls under what UTM zone. So this is 74 degree. So what we'll do, we'll take this image and we'll add this in Google Earth Pro. How we can convert this ArcGIS file into Google Earth Pro? For that there is an option in R toolbox. I will show you. Here is a red toolbox, that is a R toolbox. I will click here on R toolbox. After clicking on R toolbox, it will take little bit time to open. So after clicking on R toolbox, here is an option that is a conversion tool. I'll click on conversion tool. After clicking on conversion tool, 2KML option is there. I'll click on 2KML, then layer 2KML option is there. So this is our layer and 2KML option is there. I'll click on layer 2KML. After clicking on layer 2KML, here new window will open, layer 2KML. So we need to add here layer. So this is our layer that we want to convert. I will take this. We can also take from here or we can also drag from here. So this layer I will take. After taking this layer, we need to give output location here. So to give output location, we need to select our output file where we need to save this. So on a desktop, we have already created our folder, that is a topo sheet SOI. I will select this and I will give name here as our KML topo. KML topo sheet we can give, and I will click on save and I will click on OK. After clicking on OK, it will take little bit time, and after that it will convert this layer into KML file. Then that KML file we can add on our Google Earth Pro. So now layer 2 KML is completed. We'll open our folder here. So where we have saved this data. Now this is KML topo option is there. I will double click KML topo. After clicking on, our topo sheet is added here. So this is very low resolution topo sheet and our Google Earth is very high resolution. So because of that it shows. So this falls in 43 UTM zone. Now you can able to see here is a 43 UTM zone. So we need to give here as a 43 UTM zone. So for that we'll again go to our ArcGIS, and how to project that we'll see. So this is our R toolbox. If you click here, this R toolbox will appear. After that, data management tool option is there. In data management tool, projection and transformation option is there. In projection and transformation, raster option is there. In raster, there is a project raster option is there. So project raster, I will click here. So now you can able to see why we are doing this projection. As I told you before, this is in degree minute. If you'll see this in degree decimal. So this is in, if you'll see below, there is a 74.36 and something latitude and longitude showing here, that is in decimal degree. We don't want in decimal degree unit. We want in meter or kilometer, any format that we want. So for that, converting this into meter, what we are going to do, we are going to convert this into meter. For that, we'll take this input raster here first. So first input raster, what we'll do, this is our image, that is RECT rectify image is our input raster image. And previously we have given GCS, that is a geographical coordinate system. WGS 1984 we have given previously when we are doing GCS. Then output raster data set. In output raster data set, what we'll do, we'll save this file where we want to save. So already we have created this topo sheet folder. There I will save by the name of project or projection we can give. I'll click on save, and this is the most important part, that is the output coordinate system. I'll select here output coordinate system, that is a project coordinate system. First we have given GCS, now we are giving PCS. Why we are giving PCS? Because we want a measurable unit. So I will select a PCS. After selecting a PCS, I will select a UTM zone. UTM is a universal transformator. After that, we'll select a WGS 1984. We are living in the northern hemisphere, and now we need to select here as a WGS UTM zone 43. As I told you, why I need to select 43? Because in here we have seen our topo sheet falls under UTM zone 43, because this is a 74 degree longitude, and 74 degree longitude falls into 43 degree longitude. So 43 degree UTM zone. So I will select this 43 degree UTM zone. I will click on OK, and I will again click on OK. Now like this, what we are going to do, we are going to convert this decimal degree image into meter format. So after that, we can have some measurable unit. Like that, we can measure area of the watershed. Again, we can measure the length of this line. So whatever the area we want to measure, suppose this forest area is there and we want to measure, then we can digitize this and we can measure how much area is there covered by this reserve forest. Like this we are going to do. So what we have seen previously how to download the topo sheet. After downloading the topo sheet, we have learned how to georeference that topo sheet, because when we have download that topo sheet, it is only a scan image that we have georeference. But after georeferencing, we have converted into projected format. Why we are going to convert it into projected format? Because we want some measurable unit. Because we cannot measure land or anything in degree format. For that, we are converting this into meter format. After converting into meter format, our projection will be completed here. So this process is going on. It will take little bit time. After that, it will complete. So now our projection is completed here. So now you can able to see here is our georeference file and this is our projected file. So what is difference between georeference and projected file? That practically you can able to see here is showing decimal degree yet. Now we'll take new file, and after that we'll add this projected file, then it will show us in meter format. So I will close this and I will take new page, and after taking new page, here is a option data set or catalog option is here. Catalog I will select, and after selecting a catalog, I will refresh this our folder. After refreshing, this project is showing. So we have given a name project, and that I will drag here. After dragging this, you can able to see unit showing meter. So we have converted successfully georeference file into projected file. So this we learned today. So we learn all these things. We learn from how to download our Google Earth Pro, then we learn how to download Survey of India Toposheet. After downloading Survey of India Toposheet, we have Georeference it. After that, we have project it, and all this process we have done. So in today's class, we have learned all these things. In tomorrow's lecture, we'll see how we can project, how we can digitize this image, and how we can create a map composite. So thank you for your patience.